Hello, everyone.
Hello,
How are you today? Can you
good.
just confirm to me that you can hear me well?
Yes, we can hear you well.
Okay, I will share my screen and please confirm to me that you can also see my screen.
Confirmed.
Okay, that's good. So today is our third day in Copilot, Microsoft 365 Copilot. We have passed through a lot of information. I know that. And I guess you should pass through the readings through the website that I have given to you, especially the MS Learn that is also related to Microsoft Copilot. And today is our third day, and we still have one day. I guess today and tomorrow will be less heavier than the information and in time. So I hope that you have understood what have passed during the past 2 days. And please, if you have any questions, you know that I'm always available in the portal and Teams. Just drop the question anytime. And as soon as I see the question and I have the time, I will be responding to that. If you need to open any session with me privately, I'm also open to that. So do not worry about anything. So cool. Let's head and start with our today's slides. So again, customer data security and privacy in Copilot. This is the title that we have been talking about. Of course, we all know that we have the information that we work on are protected. This is what Microsoft has been telling us during the previous slides. They need us to make sure that we are 100% knowledgeable that the information that we are using within our environment, whether it is a customer tenant or within all the Microsoft 365 service boundary, are following the rules that are the compliance, the policies, and everything related to that. Uh, of course, I guess every one of you knows what is the meaning of tenant. If it is clear for everyone, just raise your thumbs. If not, just let me explain it to you briefly. Okay, and anyway, I will explain it very fastly. The tenant is the area or the workspace where we work and we have our applications, we have our storages, the OneDrive, the Office package, other applications that are supported within the license that we have purchased as a company. We should know that we have different levels of licenses, including basic, business, E5, E3, and a lot of tiers related to these tenants. And the more or the higher the tenant or the license that we purchase or the tier we purchase, the more applications and services we might be having. So this means that as an administrator or as a technical, I would be having more responsibilities other than managing just Office package. I have maybe Dynamics, I might have Power Apps, I might have different things. It's not our role to know to how to work on each and every of these applications. It's our role as administrators or technicals to give support related to this, how smoothly this application is running. Maybe we have to check on users, maybe we have to do some backups, create some policies for data uh, in order to prevent data loss, maybe for backup and the how long I would keep this backup, retention time, or if the files are deleted, whatever. So this is our role as an administrators or technical part, and we have spoken about Copilot, how to prepare the environment to deploy Copilot and run it within our environment or within any client's environment. We should prepare the environment, prepare the users, prepare the policies, test the things. I will be showing you the steps that will be mentioned now in the later slides. So in general, of course, it is an add-on for us to know how to use Copilot and get more familiar with the product for us in order to enhance our creativity, and for our clients in case they faced any problems. So we would be ready to support them and answer their questions in any way. So this is the main thing. So Microsoft protects your data and enables you to control it. Of course, as an administrator, you have control over the users that are under the tenant. And this is also related to what type of administrator you might be, because in Microsoft tenants and in Azure, we have different types or different levels of administrators. We have the administrator that can manage everything within the tenant. We have sub-level or some administrator permissions given to some users like application administrator, web apps administrator. We have different types of or different levels of administration that will allow you to administer your own within your own area of governance. While as a user, you might have an administration level over the workspaces that you create, even in or the files that you own. This is what we call it owner administrator. The owner of files is the person who has the ability to administer his own environment. Let me just show you what I'm talking about. So let's say I have this Edge. In Edge, as you can see, I have different tenants. This is Microsoft Azure. When I press here, because I have different tenants, because I'm working with different suppliers, I have, as you can see, I have Inatco, I have Cloud Labs, I have also within this email or this login, and also I can see this is an Azure. I can see tenants related also to CTS. While if I go to Office, let's say, Office 365, okay, and I will also open, oh, okay, let me use the Chrome because I'm already logged in there. Just 1 second. Sorry, guys. Here I will go with office.com. Also not logged in. Very good. Anyway, I will sign in and I will show you the. Okay, as you can see here, I can see my own files. I'm an administrator over these files. So because in this tenant, I'm an administrator for the overall tenant and for my own files, I can log into the admin portal and I can control both my own files and the files that, oh sorry, my own users and components of the files that I have, and I also can see the users and everything related to that. While if I'm going to use CTS tenant and I go to Office here, okay, I don't see the admin center or administrative portal because I am not an admin on this place. While if I go with Power Apps, I'm just trying to show you the difference between the different levels of administrations. Okay, I have the environment that I created for me, for myself, in order to create applications, and I have the default environment of CTS. In this default environment, I don't have the ability to be an admin on that. I am not an admin on that Power Platform environment. While if I log in, even if it is showing, I can't do anything related to administration. While if I go with, okay, well, if I go with my own, if I change to my own tenant, which is the tech training, and I go to administration, I can see things that I can do as an administrator. So this is what I wanted to explain. In addition to what is going on with the portal of Azure, I will show you in Azure that I can have different roles or different levels of administration. So if I have a user and I want to give him some administrative roles or administrative, like let's say I have student 10, okay, and I need to just give student 10 some privileges or roles or things that he can do. I can edit the properties of this user, or I can go with administrative roles and tools, as you can see here. I have different types of administration. As you can see, application administrator, attack simulation administrator. So this is what I was meaning about we have different roles and different things that we can use and give uh, the permissions to users and different types or different levels of administration. So now, how does Copilot protect your data? Data and access permission. We have permissions for data access, and we have data access roles, and we have permissions. We have the read, the write, the edit permissions. We have also the user tenant focus, what is I'm talking about here with Copilot exclusively searches and utilizes users' current Microsoft Cloud content within their tenant. So everything you do as a user would be within the tenant that you are using. You can't switch between tenants, even though you are a member in different tenants and you have Copilot installed for a tenant. It doesn't mean that this Copilot license will go to other tenants and search for files, and you will not even be seeing anything related to that tenant. So the area of control or area of governance of the Copilot is related to the tenant that you are using Copilot within. It will not exceed its borders. Customer data protection, then we have the data access, which is how to log on, making sure that the user is safe, not coming from a suspicious area, not coming from a suspicious IP, not using a suspicious application. We have the user tenant, as I said. We have the customer data protection. We have the data protection by creating what we have data labels, sensitivity labels. So this is also customer data for each tenant is logically isolated. Okay, the data for each tenant is logically isolated. We can summarize each of these boxes within a sentence or two within all the data that is written. Data processing and residency, this is very important. Data is processed in compliance with GDPR and other relevant privacy laws. So, as I told you yesterday, we have some rules or compliance privacy laws that were created between Microsoft and different countries or different governments in the world. These rules or these rules make sure that the environments in some places each of these have their own conditions. Like I will give you an example. There is a rule in the in Europe, what we call it in the European Union, that states that every data related to any resident or any person who is within the European Union cannot be installed outside the European Union servers or region. So this is very important rule. So Microsoft can't and will not create or add or host any information related to persons or to people within the European Union outside the European Union. Protecting data through LLMs, which is the large language model, which, as I told you or described it as the chat GPT data, or this model or this container that includes tons and tons of information plus models that can answer questions, that can translate, that can summarize, that can do a lot of things, that can even generate pictures, that generate different things. So data within these LLMs are protected through the security compliance, the data usage rules, and the committed to responsible AI. Always, this is a feature or something that they all discuss or stress on, is to commit to responsible AI features. Controlling the input of Copilot, Microsoft 365, access control through or over the SharePoint site restriction, access reviews, permissions, information protection, IP sensitivity labeling, data loss prevention, retention policies. This is what I was talking about. Regarding the admins and the users, we have enabled grounding sources like the current context, making sure that the context is prevailed and everything is running within this content. The web, the internet browsers or the internet results, Microsoft 365 data. And we also can enable plugins. We have features that are added that extend the power of Copilot or the Copilot services by enabling the plugins. Sometimes I enable these plugins, sometimes I just disable them because I don't need them, or they might give users something that I don't want to give to them. Is everything clear, guys?
Yes.
Clear.
Okay, great. So I know this is boring to you. Here are some of the uh, commitments explanation of Microsoft. This is how Microsoft uh, just, I will show you these one by one. Data protection and privacy. It is nice that you can go to this and read how Microsoft deals with information. You can read a lot of things, many things here, so you can understand everything related to data, know where your data is, how to treat this data. There are different topics that are interesting. We have data at rest, which means that when data is within the servers stored, it is being using the AES 256 encryption level, giving you the flexibility to choose the solution that best suits your business. Also, when data is moving from one location to another location, let me ask you one thing. Do you think that information within Microsoft Azure or within Microsoft Cloud Computing Service, how does it transfer? Let's say from if I have an office in Dubai and I have an office in Beirut and I am sending information from Beirut to Dubai or vice versa. How does this information go? This information go through the public internet? What do you think? Any idea about that?
No.
Okay. So let me explain that to you. I'll tell you the real story about that. Microsoft has its own backbone network that is spread all over the world. Information moving between servers and hosts and host and server, everything going through or coming to the internet, to the Microsoft tenant clients, all this passes through a special network Microsoft has implemented through all over the world. That is why Microsoft or any other vendor dealing with this cloud solution needs to make sure that the information is not going to public. And this is how Microsoft do. Microsoft has its own network, or we call it Microsoft backbone, that information pass from one data center to another, or from one client to another, or anything related or within the Azure environment. Okay, this is how Microsoft then deals with information. Let me get back to the other one. This is how the data is protected. We have also how Microsoft categorizes customer data. Okay, this is another thing that is related to, we have customer data, we have personal data, and we have professional service data. I wish that you can go through these and read them. I will send you that all these within the chat box. Within reading these and understanding everything related to that, you will be understanding and getting information in case you need it for your own use, or maybe to explain it for clients in case you have a potential or an expecting to sell something, and these people contacted the sales and asked the technical question, so you would be ready to answer all these questions. Okay. Microsoft privacy principles. I will send you all these details, I guess. But what we should know is that you control your data as a client. You know where your data is located and how it is used. We secure your data and at rest and in transit, and we defend your data. This is like explanation of what I just told you about last session, which is called the shared responsibility. You have your own responsibility as a client for Microsoft, and Microsoft has their responsibilities for you and for your information. So you control your data, and you know your data where is your data, and from Microsoft side, they secure the information, the data, and they defend your data in case any of the common threats or attacks were being done. So your data is well protected from any type of attacks. But again, I say it, there is no 100% guarantee that your data will not be attacked or messed with. You don't know what might happen. At the end, we are living in a digital world. We have hackers, we have attackers, we have crises that might happen. And this Microsoft just guarantees that, or just gives you a certain amount of money that you agree with Microsoft about in case anything happens. But if you know the strategy or the infrastructure of Microsoft, how they protect their information, let me show that to you. Okay, I will open a new slide. Azure Data Centers Map. As you know, Microsoft has this map of data centers where our information or clients' information are. So you can see they have different areas in the world or around the world. These are different areas, and they are mainly connected to each other. Each of these data centers has a mirror, and all your information that are being in a center of these centers will be mirrored automatically to another center. We have some local and we have some geographical that are in different areas, and you may pay extra if you want to have another or third, or maybe you would need a complete clone of your environment in a different area of the world. Maybe a natural disaster might destroy one of the centers. So that's why Microsoft keeps at least 300 kilometers between each data center that are within the same country. And you can see we have 60 plus or 65, I guess now. Uh, China is in red because of one thing. I will tell you about it. We have Microsoft has general cloud for everybody, and it has two types of governmental clouds that are the for the US sovereign and for the China. But the China area is not controlled or managed by Microsoft directly because of the rules of United Nations. There is something boycotting China. That's why a third party company, I guess, if I'm not mistaken, in South Korea are managing the cloud for China area. They have the Azure, but this Azure that is in China is not controlled by Microsoft directly. It is controlled by the other country. What is the difference between these? The U.S. government tenants or cloud cannot be accessed by individuals, only allowed personnel with some specific permits that can access these information. So the idea about that is the spreaded all over the world data centers that makes Microsoft offer such a service which is very interesting. Imagine that you want to do that if we don't have the internet and we don't have the data centers all around the world. Imagine and that you want to create safety or a data center and a copy of that data center, how much time and effort it will take, in addition to how much it will cost. It will be costing in hundreds of thousands, not if not in millions. This depends on the size and the scope of your data centers. Okay, privacy commitment. This is the GDPR data residency. I will not just go more with this. Here is an example of a company that is in brief. We have a company in the United Kingdom, and they have customers that would like to know where data will be stored and data commitments that when you create your tenant, you start by creating a new tenant with Microsoft. You will be asked for information like the location, what type of access that you want. If you are located in one country and you don't want need to be logging on from different countries, you will not be using the multi-geographical SKUs. You just use the local SKUs that are uh, enough for you. But when you have like UK MNC scenario, they have a head office in London and they have another one in New York, if I'm not mistaken. So they would need to create to have what is called the multi-geographical SKU for logging in. So they need to sign in from different locations of the world. But the main thing that we need to know is that the information of this company will reside only within the area of agreement between Microsoft and this company. If they are agreeing on that the information will just be in the UK, so information will be just residing in UK. Even if the users are logging in from different areas, the information would be there unless they need to have something related to changing this or maybe having another copy of information within the other area. But basically, whenever you create a tenant, all your information would be located in the same region of this tenant that you have created. This is an explanation of the most important or the most used financial service in the industry level, which is the compliance rule 17A-4 and 18A-6. This is, they are giving us just to make us be more confident that our information is safe, especially with this regulation, because this regulation has a lot of details related to protecting especially financial services. So what does it matter for us as technicians? We should follow some of the steps that are within this financial service level. We should focus on some protection uh, protocols that we should follow. We should have some policies. So we need to go ahead and read about, if we are working with a financial company and we need to install any of the Copilot services for this company, and we have here sensitive data because we are talking about a financial service company. It might be a bank, it might be a credit card company that gives loans and deals with money. So such kind of financial companies needs some ready-made protocols and policies and things to follow within the pre-installation or within the installation or after the installation. It was all combined in one regulation, and this regulation and rules are set, are given a number 17A-4 or 18A6. In order to comply with these rules, you need to read what is needed, and you should follow all these steps in order to comply with this level of compliance. Simply, like whenever you need to install a new application to your computer or a game, maybe, you should see what is called the system requirements. You see the system requirements from the side of hardware and from the side of software. Sometimes you would need to install DirectX, you might need to install .NET frameworks, whatever. So in order to this game to run or this application to run, you should have some preparation within your environment. And in order to use the compliance at the compliance level that is SEC 17A or 18A, you should prepare the environment you're going to install it on by following some steps. All you need to do, if you are interested about that, is going with Google and asking what are the compliance uh, steps that I should take for 17A-4 or 18A6, and you follow them and you apply them within the environment, and then you are good to go. Let me see if I have something about that. Just give me 1 second. I guess I have it somewhere. I will send it to you later. No worries. Let's just not lose time waiting for it. How does Microsoft help customers meet regularity? Okay, they have the immutable storage. We have the Microsoft 365 E5 tenant, including Exchange, SharePoint, OneDrive, and we have the third-party assessment. So Microsoft, all of these are within the regularity requirements. You should follow the steps, or what you call it, comply with all regulations related to all of these. Okay? Rich and involving features, these are just explanations for that. Microsoft adheres to industry-leading privacy. Let me send you the link to that regulation if you need to read it. I will send you now everything related to what I have said so that I will not forget them. You can read here about the compliance. And voila, they are all on the chat box now, okay? will send you all of these. Maybe you would love to read them or get an idea. These are the main things that are important. And here are the regulatory offering for home. As you can see, here are the regulations and everything related to what I was talking about. We have the global that are ISOs. We have things that are related to US government. Maybe sometimes you might, in a chance, need to work with the US government in a project or something, and you would need to create something between you and them, B2B, let's say, or B2G to government. You would need to follow, and they would ask you to comply to, let's say, 8 ITAR or CJIS. So you would go there and see everything related to this regularity compliance, and you do the steps that are here in order to make sure that you are complying to the rules or regulations the US government is asking about. Okay? Planning for the Copilot deployment. Now we'll go technical 100%. So when I need to install Copilot, I would need to follow some steps we have explained yesterday. But now let's go with some requirements or some advices to do that. Copilot for Microsoft introduces several components to help users make the use of content and data, and they already have access to, but they give the information or give you the details in a uh, more easier way. You can just talk to the system by even using a microphone or using text, and you will be having the reply as a text. You might just go and ask it to generate, translate, summarize, create. You can do a lot of things by using the Copilot 365. So Microsoft Copilot 365 Zero Trust Logical Architecture. I told you about the Zero Trust, which means that every user and device, every application, every level of files that are being extracted from any of the information that I have, they all will comply to what is called the Zero Trust Logical Architecture. They will always be monitored. They will always be tested for hygiene, for tested for making sure that they are safe, they are coming from a safe source, and they are do not contain any type of threats. So this is the step that we are going to start with, is making sure that our environment is compliant, compatible. We'll see the compatibility and with which types of levels of Microsoft 365 I can install the Copilot. It's not just installing the Copilot. I might have the ability to install Copilot, but I need to do things that are related with PureView, with Defender, with Intunes, whatever. So I would need to have everything compatible and compliant to what I want or to the level of security I want to apply. It might be as simple as Microsoft has designed. You do not need to add anything. So you go simply and install the Copilot. But in case you have some special requirements for the safety of your environment, you would go with having to check what applications or what services do you want from Microsoft. Are these available within the license that you have? If yes, you go ahead and prepare your environment for the installation, then test it and to make sure that everything is working well. So you take a sample of the clients or employees that you have, test the appliance or security protocols that and policies that you want to apply, test some of the users, then test the same number of devices if you are enrolling some devices to your environment. After making sure that everything is running smoothly, sorry, and you do not have any problems with the installation on devices or for users, you start deploying the service for everyone. So you start with a small number test, small number of users, or small number of devices, then add another part or make this part or this number larger. And when you test on the small scale and the medium scale, you go ahead and install it for everybody. After that, you have tested well. You take different samples like someone or some devices that are in the sales departments, others in the accounting department, maybe on the developer department. You test, you take samples from each of these small tests for the devices and the users, small test for the protocols or policies that you have applied, small test how they comply to everything that you want. Make sure that Ammar can't have access to Khalid's information and vice versa. Make sure that Rayahin is not able to log into any of else's information. So this is up to you as an administrator or as a technical to decide the test, how you're going to perform it. Plan your actions with enterprise licenses. As you can see, this is what I was talking about. We have different levels of licenses. We have here is the area to protect. If we need to protect the identity and access, the applications, the devices, threat protection, organization data. So these are areas to protect. We know the identity and access, so I can configure it with Microsoft 365 E5, configure common conditional access policies. And added to that, I can with 365 have what is called policies for zero trust, and the tables rolls goes on here. And let me give you another example, which is the devices. You can manage devices. Here you can monitor device risk and compliance to secure uh, to the security baselines. And the threat protection is configuring the exchange online protection and endpoint protection. The endpoint, which means the node or the PC or the application or the service. You can go there and make sure that everything is well. And you can manage that if you have an E3. But maybe if you have a license that does not have these options, so this you can do within that license. If this license is good for you, it's okay. But if the license you have now is not compliance or compliant with the things that you want, you should upgrade to another or to a higher level. Maybe it would be cheaper, but has different features that you want. Like when you go ahead and try to purchase a license for any application. In this application, you might have different levels of services. You will select only the things that you want in order to pay for the things that you need and use them instead of going less than you need or larger than you might want. Setting up the file sharing in a secure way. Here you can see we have different levels of users. We have most of the team can have the baseline protection. This is the baseline protection, which is like allowing everything for, let's say, public or most teams. And we have some teams like, let's say, the financial department, the administrators, and maybe we have very few teams like the owners, like the administrators team. So as you can see here, each of these teams has their own level of protection or permissions that you might give to these users. I guess this is clear for you since you are in IT or in technical department. I guess it doesn't need a lot of explanation. It needs just to understand that I have different types or different sizes of groups that I might have or teams that I might have, and I might allow the sharing of some files between these teams maybe allow in the most teams, I will give them accessibility to everything related to their work, but they can't access to some teams information. They are just saying some teams. Imagine what I said, like the financial teams and the administration or the administrator or the owners team. Nobody can access their information but the members on this team. So these are the different levels of protections or types that we want to do to have planned very well before we install the application that is the Microsoft 365 Copilot. Here is the diagram that I was talking about. You start Use the following sequence for deploying Copilot as your phase and protections for access devices and data. Apply identity and access protection. This is the first thing you do. Then apply the device protection. Then assign Copilot to users and with their protection. So you start with piloting, you start with, after that, you evaluate, see everything, how it was going with this small part of the pie or of the users or of the devices. Then after evaluation, you might do things, enhance in some things within the piloted uh, services or piloted devices after you make sure that everything complies to what the general policy of the company wants and for you as an administrator, then you go ahead and start with the full deployment. Here is a practical example. You can plan your pilot deployment or deploy parallelly. You have the identify 50 users, then with identify or test devices protection with the same number. Then again, as I told you, you pilot them, then you do go ahead with the full deployment. These are the levels: the technical adoption of information protection. Discover and identify sensitive business data. You discover the data, develop classification and protection, then test and pilot the schema with data in Microsoft 365, deploy the classification, extend the schema, continue to discover and protect. These are the steps that you should do when deploying parallelly, so you can be working in parallel in different places, protecting the data, protecting the access, protecting the information on still and on the move. So I guess this is for today. I will leave the rest for tomorrow. Tomorrow will be like today, not so long. So if you have any questions, please go ahead and let me know if you have anything. If anything was not clear, please ask me or let me know if you have anything to re-explain or to make more clear.
Thank you, Khaled.
Thank you, Rami. Thank you, everyone. So no questions.
Clear from my side.
All good. Thank you.
That's great. That's great. Thank you, everyone, and see you tomorrow.
Thank you. يعطيك العافية.
Take care. Have a
شكرا
good day. Bye.
شكرا شكرا.